Righto.
2, 1.
So like we'll talk about like what Sigma's role in this composition is. Like it's essentially just to open up off angles to put off angle pressure on the enemy team. That's basically it. There's not a whole lot more. You put off angles, you synchronize your resources with your main tank's pressure and with your tracer's pressure. Now the key thing here is the Bat Brig versus the Bat Sig matchup, and I like the tracer here. Even though they are running Bat Brig, Bat Zin in my opinion is better on this map, but it's really difficult on attack and playing into Bat Brig if the enemy team is playing really aggressive. In other words, they can stuff you in this choke and your Zen doesn't get any sightlines. We've talked about this before, not too long ago. So what they can do with the tracer is they can soften up the choke and apply off-angle pressure from behind to allow the Outlaws to get out of the choke, essentially. So you can't get your angles here, but you can get your angle back here, and you can kind of harmony over your tracer and just like let Dante do work. And Dante can do work even with a Brig. Like Brig isn't enough of a counter to Tracer to stop her from doing work. So Tracer can do a good job bowling off angles, and hopefully Piggy does the same. Like we could theoretically see like Piggy swinging this way. We could see Piggy swinging like all the way this way. We could see Piggy pushing in from here. Like I'm just curious to see what he does. So off angle timing, resource management, and then honestly just mechanics. Shock are playing Brig to stuff this choke because Brig isn't as good on this map, but if you play really aggressively around this choke, it's actually really hard to bully this thing out of here, because remember, you can stuff the Zen and not even let him get sightlines. Like a Brig can just play right up here and be like, hey, screw your Sigma. Your Sigma's not going to be able to off angle pressure here. Screw your Hanzo, he's not going to be able to off angle pressure here. And it also means that if they run any form, it could be discouraging, like the Tracer. It could be discouraging. It's also fairly strong in second. So like the Brig, I don't know if it's better necessarily, but I don't have like enough extreme experience to tell you my opinion on that, but it is certainly not a bad pick. Early shift just for some HP, and a lot of times you just have your Sig pushing card here because he is the hey, what's going on? A lot of times you have your Sig pushing card here because he's the slightly smaller hitbox than Orisa. And he has more defensive cooldowns to deal with it. In other words, like his shield, like he can manage his shield, drop it, manage it, drop it. Shift is a little stronger than Fortify, in my opinion, in this instance. And like I said, the hitbox thing. So, but they'll probably cycle it between him and he and Tracer. A little pressure on shield. Probably see a shift here. Yeah. He never like lets his shield fully break. I mean, he didn't there anyway. So I think his resource management could have been here a little, could have been a little better here. Like I think we should have shielded a little earlier there. And then I also think we should have dropped this shield. So like right here, this is where you'd optimally want to drop shield, because if they're halting, you know there's going to be damage tied to it. So you just drop your shield here, shift, and then move to cover from there. So he does drop his shield, but he drops it a little late. And now they just need to play slow. Yeah, so he's gonna move to cover there because they're waiting on Dante. Rotate right. He needs to rotate right. Right. Do you see the off angle pressure? This is what I'm talking about, chat. Like this setup from Shock is like actually brutal. Hey, what do you want? All right.
Give me a moment to think.
So like this is where I would like Piggy to do this. So I actually think this is a mistake from Outlaws. I really want the Outlaws to make sure they're harmony Tracer, and like have your Zen swing here, have your Orisa can shoot from this angle, harmony your Tracer and pressure this, and Piggy should be pressuring in from here. Like legit just go in, and your BAP can, heck, you can even leave your BAP here. Like you can put your BAP like back here and just like pocket your Sig. But like they can clear this off angle. They can clear this off angle. Like you pocket your Tracer here, Tracer, Sig, and then a BAP, like a little bit of pressure here, as well as like they're gonna kill the Sig. Like I think this is important enough, and I think that they can actually leverage the value of the Zen enough for it to work. So I'm curious to see how they're gonna break this choke, but they need to clear out right, and I think they can do it with a Tracer. Like I don't like. The card is enough. They need to go inside here and push this out. And because the DPS are this far away, they're not going to be able to contribute to this. So even though Brig is good in close sightlines, you're going to be able to push the Brig with a man advantage, which I think is good enough to be able to beat them. so they're like dealing. So like they're doing this instead. So they're saying, okay, well, we're not gonna be able to clear this off angle, or we don't want to clear this off angle. So instead, we're going to isolate this off angle. Do you see this? So we're basically Piggy isolates this off angle here at the same time as Happy is threatening Widow here, and then they're gonna push the high ground angle and clear that instead, which to me is not great. I don't think that's consistent enough. And then now they're gonna isolate and push this off angle. So they really, because I still think Glister could do a lot of work on these guys with their back turned. So I'm not a fan. Like to me, I just think you just need to push this guys. I think you need to push these guys. Because you've never really cleared that space. Yeah. I think the Outlaws plan here is bad. Like that's just Twilight mistake. So that was just them getting isolated and split, and then Dante just pops off / Violet or Twilight feeds. To be honest, like that's like Shock's setup there was just much better. So it kind of sucks because I think the Outlaws. I don't think the Outlaws actually strategically won there. I think Shock had the better strategic plan there. I think the Outlaws just got lucky, and the Shock just made individual errors. That's it. So I'm actually kind of. Yeah, I'm disappointed. I would have liked to see the Outlaws actually play that one better. Yeah, Jat, hello. Oh yeah, we need to change the you guys want to throw some people for a loop? Let's update our title. Houston Outlaws Piggy review. Hey, Jack. Good to see you, mate. There you go. It's always funny because we're on stream. But now this is where Shock just is not going to recontest. It's just not going to happen. Okay, I mean, unless that happens. Because it shouldn't happen because their Zen has space now. I mean, there's not a lot to say here. Outside of just notice how Piggy is kind of gatekeeping this side of the map, right? That's exactly what you want your Sigma to do. He's basically just gatekeeping this side of the map. It's because he's got great cover here. He can go upstairs if he gets pressured, and his resource management is also really good, right? So like, he's not going to rock until they actually start to push, and he's just going to spam this choke. Do you notice how like even though they're putting a lot of resources on this side of the map, he's very like hesitant to start spamming this way, right? Because, yeah, he could help here, but again, Shock are going to split push, and he needs to deal with this off angle. This is your Sigma's responsibility. So he'll throw some damage here behind window for sure, and then I guarantee you, as soon as we see or hear any pressure from this side of the map, well, that's so disorienting. He's going to probably instantly turn his attention this way, right? Maybe not. No, he's looking for Flux. That's why he's not. Waiting for Fortify. So he turns his attention off of the off angle back to here, which is a little expensive, but they do have the tracer on it, and he has Flux. So he wants to catch the easier targets to shoot with Flux, and he waits out Fortify. Smurf is dead. He's gonna try and rock that, maybe. Nope, he's not gonna try and rock it. So honestly, I just think Crimson getting picked there just really hurt the Outlaws, and I do think that like. It would have been honestly maybe even better for him to have fluxed this side of the map, especially with Dante going on these squishes. Because even if you just catch the BAP with the like, if there's a tracer on whoever you're flexing, that target is dead before they even get to lamp. So I think, or even with lamp. So I think that would have been important. It's also interesting to note here, chat. Like this is something that I always go for because I'm just a meme lord. But if I'm playing Sigma, I'm going for this rock, right? But Piggy knows that Choi Open's not an idiot, and he's going to move, and this rock is very low percentage. Very hard to hit. So he's not going to blow a resource on a maybe I can stop this flux. He's going to be like, we have an answer for this flux, we have lamp, I'm just going to survive it, and then I'm going to save rock for later in the fight when I know I'm going to get value. Now, unluckily, the light goes on, but do you see how like, hey, I can actually rock this now? So it's a return on investment thing. Maybe he rocks the flux 1 out of 100 times, but then he loses out. But if he misses, then he's losing out in potential value for the rest of the fight. So it's a more conservative decision, and it makes sense.
60 seconds.
If I could make a suggestion, we should get the payload.
Universe.
Not great stuff from Piggy. I mean,
Isn't it?
I would have preferred him to spam the off angle, to be honest. Even though they were like bongoing down and that he had flux, I think I would have preferred even the flux the off angle. I think it was better positioning for him and better denial of pressure. But no, I think like honestly, like just Crimson getting picked there was like not good. So you're gonna spam high ground. So the cart positioning is very important here, because why you have to ask yourself, why are Shock not stuffing again? It's because of cart. Because if you could send Dante with a Harmony Orb up through here and then just hides on cart and avoids the Widow, he's going to be able to leverage point pressure and force Shock to turn around and help what's going on over here, which is going to allow them to push at the choke again. So Shock realized that and they don't even try.
From 0 to 10, how is Violet's Creed?
I don't know. I haven't reviewed it. Thanks to the sub, mate. Hey, kitty. You gotta wait. So you notice how we're not even looking for shift usage? Why? Because you only have an Orisa and high ground. That's not enough spam to justify using your shift for like HP or to conserve your shield. If there was like Hanzo up here and like a, you know, like maybe a Sigma or whatever as well, then yeah, you probably see shift usage. Good block from Choi. Shifting is out in the open. I don't know how Outlaws win this. I don't know how Outlaws win this. This space control by Shock is brutal. These guys are really good. And they don't have a support ult to create or... So yeah, that's his responsibility. Again, the off angle, right? Oh, they don't win. They don't win this, right? No, they don't. Right? Yeah. So honestly, like I don't know, maybe it was just like Glister just popping off, but there's just a lot of kills that just shouldn't happen. Like you can't be getting picked by Widow before the fight even starts. It's just sloppy positioning and like not really respecting Widow sightlines. That's just sloppy play. And I also think the Outlaws took way too long on first fight. This hold is very difficult to break, but there is a very clear logic that it looked like the Outlaws were thinking about, but they just never executed on. So it put them in a position to where they burned over 2 minutes off the clock before they even turned the first choke. And that's too much. Like, that's too much. Like, considering you had an opportunity, you forced a Widow Hanzo basically into Narnia. Okay, now throw your Sigma Shield or whatever at them, or just Orisa, or just ignore them and just push this here. And they weren't doing that. I don't think they played that particularly well. So a lot of like early picks. I think Piggy played okay. Resource management was all right. Obviously question marks about like, hey, could we have done a better job denying the right side off angle instead of focusing in main just because we had Flux. I don't know if that was worth it, but yeah. They win the map. Oh yeah, they do. I forgot about that. Okay, so let's see here. Spawn camp.
Ready for battle.
Not giving away their composition because they don't know if they're playing spam or brawl. And the brawl makes sense too, right? Because you know that you're gonna get at least a couple fights. And Piggy's here to deny off angle, right? Piggy's here to deny off angle. Once they roll out on brawl, like actually full swap to normal brawl, you'll probably see Piggy go back closer to main, but he's still gonna be doing this most likely, right? But until he's sure they're going to just brawl, like brawl, he's going to stay a little more passive. Or a little more aggressive on the flank. Weird micro missile usage. He's scouting the brawl swap. He's like, okay, they're still not swapping, Choi's on Orisa. That's honestly really weird. Twilight's trying to get like flank value, land a big nade. This is a lot of time wasted. The Orisa is just terrible here. I mean, okay, they're playing Symmetra, so I guess it makes more sense, but I think Orisa's only good in situations where you don't have to worry about off angles as much. I think she gets outvalued by Sigma, D.Va, and Zarya, specifically Sigma and D.Va, in situations where the off angles matter more, because she's very brute force right down the middle. And I think this first point here is close quarters, but I don't think it's close quarters enough. So let's look at our matrix management here. I mean, part of the problem is that they've got Violet, Twilight. You know, that's no good. Like, who's gonna play Lucio? Notice the patience. Do you notice the patience with the Matrix there? Not instantly matrixing, but like checking HP. High ground, a little bit of Matrix early, get some value out of it. A little bit of Matrix early. So what you're going to see from a lot of Diva players that I think are using Matrix properly is you're going to see about half to 2/3 of their Matrix early on in the trade. Like a good chunk of the Matrix early. And that's just to get min-max their value, right? Because it starts to regenerate immediately afterwards, right? So you might as well use some. So they get like a good value, a bit of Matrix on the Orisa spam, Mei spam, Ana spam, Bap spam, the healing, you know, they put a little bit of, take a little bit of pressure off of their tanks, right? And then they sit and they hold, right? So there's a micro missile pressure. He's gonna hold. He's gonna Matrix there, but it's gonna get walled, so he's gonna fly up. He's not gonna even Matrix just yet until now, right there. And then look at the like that's a lot of Matrix value, right? Mei is obviously freezing right now. She's not shooting, but if the Mei was shooting here, this is gonna be eating Orisa spam. This is gonna be eating any healing that the BAP is putting onto his tank line, any healing that the Ana is putting onto the tank line, as well as the, like we said, the Orisa spam, any Mei spam, etc. Okay, so good Matrix here. Probably.
Time to raise my APM.
And again, more Matrix, right? And again, dude, look at the position here. High ground, off angle, utilizing the wall, and a little bit of a booster boop as well to kind of peel off his front line. So I think Shock have dug themselves a hole by having Twilight and Violet in. No, you don't need it. The hull is like essentially worthless in this composition. Halt is only worth it if you're doing an ult combo, and Shock don't have any ultimates, or if you're doing like Halt Punch. Scouting, back to high ground. And he sees McCree now, so he's no longer scared. You see the Matrix usage here? A good chunk of Matrix early in the trade, even if they're not even swinging. Takes a little bit of pressure off of Ryan Shield, doesn't feed ult charge. And then still Matrix when they actually needed it. A little bit of a boop on the Mei there, trying to disrupt the freeze. And then, oh, he should have Matrixed that. That's unfortunate. So Crimson not having window is a shame right now, because they need to match this window, because this is actually pretty expensive. So I think that was a little sloppy here in terms of dropping. Like, we should have dropped behind card a little faster. That does cost us a pretty decent amount of Matrix and a pretty decent amount of our HP as well. So that was a pretty expensive little trade there for Piggy. A little bit of positional discipline. We see this sometimes with Divas where they just get a little sloppy their positioning, and just like the Plat Divas, right? They get their HP chunk before the fight like actually really starts, right? And that's what you're concerned about, because now it puts him behind in a hold where he can't play as aggressively as he'd like. And it also forces some Matrix. So could have been a little faster there with his positional work. A little bit of a try and disrupt the Mei there. He needs to do a better job matrixing this though, because this right here, Jengu, no shield. He needs matrix, and and right now we're not actually like this needs to be fully matrixed. So Piggy does not track his team's HP very well here. By the time he actually matrixes, 2 of his team is already dead. So probably a lost fight already based off of Piggy's positional discipline. It also looks like, is Dante missing? Yeah, is Dante missing? Yeah, they didn't have Dante, and they didn't have window, so that was huge. So they decided to just force him to use window and just die in card. But I think Piggy could have stalled that out better with better matrix management. Need to wait, Amory. So they're gonna clear high ground. Wow, that's actually astonishing. Most teams clear high ground here just to check for Fling Sand to create create an off angle, but they're just gonna go right down main. Again, you notice the attention here. Piggy is not concerned about Mei wall or Ryan Shield or anything like that. The danger is here. Bap and Kree. This is what he's pressuring. He's not gonna necessarily go after them, but he's gonna let his presence be known. Not sure what he was matrixing there. Wait, why is it going back? Look at this again. It's a lot of matrix kind of. Maybe because he was scared of the off angle shooting this McCree. A little bit of sloppy matrix usage there, especially early on in that fight, like rotating around here. Like this, not so great matrix usage. His positioning here is good. Notice that he's on an off angle, but he can't be shot by their off angle. And at any point in time, he can shut down their off angle with Matrix, right? So this positioning is really, really good. Oh, that's a very late beat. Hi, Kitty. I don't think they had it yet. They also lamped as well, which is really, really bad. Then the nano, the lamp is down. They don't have beat yet, and I actually think this is just not great matrix usage from Piggy, because like he used a lot of matrix. I don't understand what they were matrixing and why they lamped either. They kind of so first off, their initial rotation was bad. They rotated here and they didn't actually clear it out, so they're actually walking into a pincer from the BAP Kree here and the rest of the team here. So that, if that's what cost them their lamp and what cost them their matrix, then that's a mistake from the team. But I don't even think, even though their pathing was bad, I don't even think they needed to do that. So and I really think, like I said, I think honestly just not great matrix management from Piggy. And then like right now, I want to see matrix here because like I'm expecting nade. Have we used nade here? Like nade should be coming in right now. Nade and McCree shot should be coming in right now. Yeah, so there was nade. We just missed it. Like, that's actually not good that we were not in a position to matrix a nade that was definitely coming in. Great sleep. Like right here's nade, right? Yeah. That needs to be matrixed. That needs to be matrixed. Or at least you need to like extend the matrix. We don't matrix. We still don't matrix. We still don't matrix. And now our team is dead. So the positioning was good there, but I really think the matrix management is really poor. I don't know why you're matrixing this. That's a third of your matrix. I don't know why we're matrixing as much as we did there. That's too much matrix for that. I don't know why you matrix there and then matrix that. So a lot of matrix mismanagement here. And then not matrixing here is a tragedy because this is right at the ultimate. This is the spike. This is when the nade comes in. This is when sleep, if it hasn't been used, is going in. This is when the McCree and BAP are just going to literally be hard damaging on your Rhine. So not so good. I mean, this is just bad from Outlaws. Like this defense was fine. Like honestly, without going into their defense, but this fight in particular was bad from Piggy and bad from the Outlaws. Where should Piggy be positioned? Piggy was well positioned. Positioning was fine. He was off angle, good cover, had a good angle on like shutting down the thing here. Like high ground here would have meant that he was not going to have good vision, and he'd have also gotten poked out too early. So his positioning was great. Matrix usage was not. Then the idea from going from me is that they have 2 fights instead of 1. Right. But you can still stop cart from high ground. Like you flip, you go here, you flip, and you stop the cart here, and you have Lucio speed, right? So they can't flip the map on you very quickly. All right, so let's see what's going on here. And they essentially have to take a fight a man down. I think you have to, like, you don't want to bomb this because of Kree May, right? And Window, obviously, and Nade, and Sleep. Like, there's a lot of reasons why you don't want to bomb this, but I don't know what else Outlaws can do here. So, like, Dante has to get a huge May ult here or something, or they have to get a May wall, or they have to bait Matrix. So, I think what Piggy would like to do is Matrix in, and if he's not going to Diva Bomb, probably go up here and look to, like, get here on this position here. I think this is a really good position to control. Yeah. They get the May ult off, though. Wait, why is it going back? There's no way that's... Sorry, I'm sorry. I said 10 seconds. Okay, holy smokes. Matrix, he sees it gets walled, so he drops Matrix. Micro missiles is fine. Trying to flash there, maybe catch an ult, who knows. He's gonna boost her around behind cover, right? Flashes Matrix, and he just misses it. He misses it, and also he's not, I don't even think he knows where Striker is, so he like loses Striker. Also Striker on me. That's great. Oh, Piggy. I do think his position could be better here. I do think positioning up here would have been fine, especially early on. So like what I would have done here is I would have You fly, you matrix, wall. You're walking forward. You need to fly up here. And this gives you a great vantage point so that you can eat anything that you want. You can see nade, you can see mail. It gives you a good, there's like really, really hard for that maid to sneak on you here. And you're at a perfect point to where you can't even be spammed from cover either. So I actually think this positioning is not very good from Piggy. Could be better. He misses the nade as well, which is almost unforgivable. Because this is going to force lamp most likely. And considering the Outlaws did a phenomenal job surviving this. Wow, that doesn't force lamp? Unbelievable. Crazy. They got really lucky. They are getting so lucky this fight. And then, you know, obviously, what are you matrixing there? Like, once the nade is done, what are you matrixing? So that's the problem with missing the matrix on the nade, is that not only do you miss the nade, but then you waste matrix. Because you go, nade, oh, I missed the nade, so now I'm gonna matrix? There's my entire matrix, almost over half of my matrix, like of a bar, gone. But what was matrixed? Jack. Nothing was matrixed. Nothing was matrixed at all. So it would have been better there to just eat the nade if you're not gonna be able to matrix it in time, right? Or drop the matrix as soon as you see that you missed it. See how we play around high noon. Somehow that doesn't hit Piggy. He gets very lucky. He boops, flashes matrix. It's a really nice May wall. I mean, just nothing really to write home about. Nothing really to write home about. I mean, I'm not saying poo-pooing on the Outlaws. The Outlaws are doing something right, but I'm not seeing it from Piggy. At least not in Diva. At least not in this map.
Time to raise my EPM. Routing power to forward barrier.
I don't know that I want my Diva here. Okay, so maybe they're looking for a bomb. I do think that, like, again here, like, I'm not sure that I want Piggy here. So, like, I would want Piggy here-ish, ready to swing. Yeah, so I want Piggy here. I want Piggy swinging here. I do not want Piggy swinging here. I want Piggy swinging here. And then what this does is twofold. First off, he's free to shoot and put out a lot of pressure on Choi. Because, or Smurf or Violet or whatever he wants to shoot. And or absorb pressure because he's on an off angle, right? Oh, and they're all paying attention to high noon. But the other thing that he can do here is he can split. He can booster through and boop Choi into the high noon. He can watch for matrix and booster boop Choi out into the open. Like right now, he could and not even necessarily demech him, but he could force matrix early before Choi wants to do it. So Piggy is just on main. Like, do you see what Don was it? Who was it? Was it Juby? Did Juby do it? Somebody booped Choi, it looked like. Yeah, so that should have been a Diva Lucio combo.
Nerf this.
Right? So he has nothing left to eat except for nade. And I don't like how he's positioned to try and eat the nade. Because I don't think he... Okay, there you go. There you go. Now he matrixes. I think he matrixes. Yeah, you definitely matrixes. Finally. Finally. This is what we were looking for. Okay, so this is when, again, we're aggressing, or the enemy team is aggressing, so we're aggressing right now. So this is where nade happens. The Violet probably throw a nade.
This will help.
Unfortunately, we missed the nade. But that's why we're matrixing here, because the nade's coming right now. You can predict it, right? And the healing and the damage and all that stuff. So like, let's see here. I would have used full matrix here. I would have used absolutely used full matrix here. Full matrix and then back off this way and hide here and just kind of keep track of the battlefield and listen and then peek out again here. I don't like where Piggy is positioned. He's getting chunked. He's taking damage that is just meaningless. And he's not positioned well to eat nades or to see anything. Okay. So now he has to worry about like DPS ults.
Defense matrix activated.
Surprised Striker didn't ult that after he saw the Matrix.
Defense matrix activated.
So this is okay-ish. He needs the booster. He needs the booster. Oh, I don't know about this. It's Jangu Shadow carries that. Yeah. I don't know, chat. I'm not impressed. Not in this map. Matrix management positioning, like, not consistent. I'm not loving it. Not loving it. Like, I think his position could have been a lot better to, like, actually give it better vision on the fight, / take a lot less damage early in pre-fight. And I think his Matrix management was just kind of shaky. Like, a lot of Matrix where it's like, well, wait, why? Why are you doing that? So not bad, but I don't think his D.Va looks great on that map. Let's do one more map. What do you guys? It was voted for in chat. One more map, chat. You guys want to do Shock? So, which map? Dorado? What do you guys want? What do you guys want? Blizzard World, Dorado, Oasis, Dorado. All right, we'll do Dorado.
Ready for battle.
Y'all are trolling me. These 8-minute maps.
Four, three, two, one.
All right, so the Zarya is kind of an unusual choice. This is probably because they anticipate some variation of the monkey comp from Shock, or potentially Tracer, maybe. Basically, the reasoning is this: is that Brigzen, Ashe, Tracer, Ball is a spam comp, is a spam dive hybrid, and you often see it run with Sigma, at least on maps with good long sightlines, because the Sigma also provides a lot of spam as well. It's like just a longer sightline comp, right? Zen, Ashe, Sigma, like there's a synergy right there. The reason why you run Zarya is now you're hybriding to where you're a little less strong, like playing to the strings of the longer spam, but you have a better defensive peel against harder dive comps. So Shock, from what we know, from at least from what I've seen, plays more of the monkey variations, more double bubble, right? And less of the spam stuff, right? So if you're a little more concerned about like, okay, this monkey dive, then you're probably going to be playing Zarya, especially on a map like Dorado on first, where there is a little bit of, like, it's not exactly a long-range sightline spam map. It's kind of, but it's also kind of short range. It depends on the map. So Zarya can kind of fit in between. So what this means is that Piggy is not going to be as scared of monkey jumping, right? Piggy also has answers if, for whatever reason, now they're running Violet Glister, but for whatever reason, if they ran a Tracer player, you have Bubble for Pulse, you have Bubble for Dive. So basically, the Zarya is like, hey, this isn't a super long spammy map like Blizzard World 2nd or Havana, but I can still get good spam here, and I personally can survive / deal with monkey better because of Zarya Bubble. So yeah, that's my opinion of this. So here's the thing with Zarya in this comp. So you guys know how I'm literally like, I'm mauled if my Zarya doesn't get charged pre-fight. This is one of the exceptions where getting charged pre-fight is actually really hard because there isn't a lot of spam from Shock outside of Violet. And sometimes if you play this with like you could play this with like an Echo, or you can play this with like a Sombra, or you can play this with like an Ashe, and those are all heroes that are hard to farm off of. So it's hard to farm charge, and this comp is a pretty hard dive, not a hard dive comp, but they're going to rotate and they're going to rush you down. and not having a bubble is pretty bad. So what you're probably going to see is Piggy will get to charge when he can, but he's more concerned about nailing the bubbles when on Smurf's initiation on himself and on whoever's being aggressed on. That's more important. He might be bubbling his backline. If his backline gets like hard rushed, he might be bubbling Zhengu if they're hitting them on a rotation. For example, they could have potentially slammed on that rotation here because this is a rotation you can punish somewhat. And he would have bubbled Zhengu there because his backline's not in any risk at all. But yeah, because you see how they're on Tracer, Monkey, Zarya's going to do much better against that. A lot more pressure against that. There's someone at my front door. I cannot answer this right now, chat. Give me 1 second. Okay, we're good. Sorry, boys. But yeah, so like basically the Zarya can't really greed and farm energy. She's just gonna have to counter bubble whenever they aggress in, and then you're gonna be 90 million charge once they're actually on you, and you're gonna hopefully murder them. So that's the thing with the Zarya, is like you lose a little bit of pressure early on with the Sigma, but once they're actually on top of you, you can survive a little easier because of your bubbles, and you actually do a lot more pressure. Like Sigma Rock is pretty scary against dive. But especially if they have a bubble for their monkey jump, like it doesn't do a lot. You would rather have your bubble in an 80 charge Zarya than you would a Sigma once you're being dove. So what Shock needs to do is they need to rotate to high ground, clear high ground, at the same time as leveraging cart and pushing cart, which is probably going to be done a little bit by Smurf, but also a lot by Glister as well, because they're going to get spammed out. And then they're going to push cart to about here, and then they're going to push high ground and push from here and pincer dive. So fight probably won't be decided on this high ground here. The Outlaws like... Yeah, that's insane. Like, how does that happen? What? Oh dear. That's not good. Like the problem with what the Shock are doing is that they're rotating as 4 in high ground and leaving their Tracer and Monkey on cart. But for whatever reason, Glister got destroyed, which should never happen. I don't care if Dante has Harmony Orb. And to be perfectly honest, I think Shock should have focused on pushing cart before they'd rotated high ground here. I think a little bit of leverage on high ground would have been okay, but certainly not as much as they did. I think what you could have seen is Twilight play, sit here and then quickly rotate here, and that would have been better. But this is problematic for the Shock. But again, do you notice how like Piggy's spamming, but we're not gonna use bubbles here. We're too scared. You have to be too cautious here. I will say though that just because he's 0 charge, he's landing these right clicks. He's landing these right clicks. This is actual pressure, actual charge, and grab is a monstrous ultimate in this composition. Like you can burn through anything with a grab. Solo grab, Kree backline, kill a primal rage nano monkey. Like it is busted, especially with like pulse bomb combos and things like that as well. So probably gonna back up here. And there it is. There it is. There it is. There's what we predicted, right? No charge, no charge. But once the jump actually happens, 1 bubble, he's out. 2 bubble, I'm out. And now I'm really scary all of a sudden. Now I'm curious, what was happening with the Shock at the same time? So they get a sleep. Yeah, see, this is just not very good from the Shock. This is not very good from the Shock. So the sleep is great. But do you see how Shock are literally AFK here? This is when Shock would need to go. We need to rotate as 6 on the high ground at the same time and actually brawl push this, because you're just not going to, like, do you see this? Like, what are you getting, cart push? What? This is just no good from the Shock. This is not good execution. Like, even with the sleep dart, I don't think that's worth the, like, you have to actually push something, right? You have to actually clear the high ground and take the fight as 6. This is not, this is bad from Shock. But great bubbles from Piggy. And you see, he's just so much more higher in charge. So much higher in charge. Should have died there though.
My ultimate is charging.
So this is scary, right? This is scary. My question is, did he need to drop here? No, he didn't need to drop. I actually think he didn't need to drop. This is actually a mistake. He should have maintained high ground here. Shock is not pushing high ground. He actually dropped into the Shock. He could have stayed high ground here, and there's nothing. There's nothing they could have done. So that's actually a mistake from Piggy. Should have stayed high ground. Should have maintained your positioning. Do not drop and give up good positioning if you can actually match it. And they matched it, right? They matched it. They were able to match both bubbles. There was no fallout from the Shock, etc. And now the charge is like more valuable, right? It means a slightly stronger poke phase. But again, it's gonna be the same thing. A slightly stronger poke phase, but we're gonna see both bubbles on the hard initiation and no bubbles before that, unlikely. Or we're not likely to use this one. That's a weird bob. Yeah, not great. Not great. So you're probably gonna see the Shocker, the Outlaws are gonna rotate away from that high ground now. Yeah. Play the longer sideline where the Zen spam is actually good and the Winston has a hard time engaging. So do you see why we're bubbling this? Like, you're thinking, oh, well, shouldn't we be bubbling on their engage? And the answer is yes and no, because here's the thing. What Django's doing is he's saying, well, you guys are not going to get a clean dive for the next 10 seconds at least, or 8 seconds at least, because I'm going to slam you. We're going to hard commit on this dive, and we're going to spam you hard. Like, I guarantee you, if you look at Dante here, yeah, Dante's pushing high ground. Happy has a great LOS. Look at Crimzo. Crimzo has a good LOS. He's getting distracted by Glister right now. Piggy also has good LOS, right? So there's going to be a lot of damage coming in on Shock right now. And what that means is that Shock is not going to be in a position to actually dive Crimzo for a little bit, because they're not going to have their abilities. That's going to force a lot of Matrix. They're going to be like 1 HP. It's going to force armor packs, maybe a nade, maybe even a monkey bubble here. And so do you see how this is hitting them before they're in a position to dive you? So you can either use your bubbles to peel, or you can use your bubbles to aggress and prevent them from even getting in a position to dive in the first place. And the reason why you're seeing that now and not earlier is that we haven't seen Shock in a really easy to dive or pressure location up until this point. All the other positions were too far away. Your Zen couldn't really see. It was too close. This is both far away and exposed for Shock. So this is very punishing to Shock. So you're very gladly committing a projected bubble here, because you know, hey, my Zen's not going to need a bubble here because these guys are getting screwed. Now the other thing to keep in mind is also Crimzo has trance. So there's a lot of like a little niche things here, but this is the correct play. Because like we're gonna come in here, but look at Smurf before he even jumps. Before he even jumps. He's down over 100 HP. He's look at this, look at this, and look at Choi, look at Choi. Look at Choi, right? That's what you want to see. That's what you want to see. Good stuff. A Piggy plays cover. This is really good. They just can't kill him. They just can't. Good kite to cover there. Probably a little bit of an early bubble there. Ron Sigma, absolutely. We might see a bubble here. Probably not, because he knows Glister has pulse. We might have seen a bubble there. He might have been looking for some energy. I do think Shock is playing this poorly. not a good bubble. I think Dante was okay. Dante had blinks available. Yeah, he does. So he's okay. I'm not sure if this was intended for Jengu. It probably was. We'll look at this again. Yeah, that's intended for Jengu. And again, we're going in another situation here where Jengu is trying to disrupt this dive so that if Smurf Choi jump in, that they're going to be, again, low in HP. We've already forced, is this Monkey Bubble? Right, so we've already forced Monkey Bubble and Rally, and what's Choi's Matrix position situation at? So we're almost no Matrix, and this is before the fight is even started. Before the fight has even started, we've already put them on the back foot. That's exactly what you want to do. So this next dive is going to be weak. Now, the missed bubble sucks, but it is what it is. We'll probably see Jengu actually mines this now as well, so to completely scuff this up. Doesn't look like you get a chance to. Body blocks. Again, good bubble. Probably just grab this. Yeah. Goodbye. Now we counter rally and we push. Ooh, unfortunate. Got a little too aggressive post bubble. Like remember what we talked about the other day. As soon as that bubble's gone, you gotta chill. You have to chill. You have to chill. Like you have to understand like the level of aggression has to scale it back. Okay, you want to go Diva? Sure, we'll look at a fight from Diva. Is there gonna even be a fight? Yeah, there's gonna be a fight. Oh. Is it McCree? We're just shooting ball. Okay. How do they keep him up? All right, so nothing home to right, nothing crazy, but okay. Solid Zarya play. Solid Zarya play. I think the bubble usage here was, for the most part, was pretty good. I like that we were able to like find a balance between like hard peeling when they were close versus like when they were far away, and we could disrupt them using our bubbles more aggressively. Obviously, the grab on the monkey, that's exactly what you want to do. Probably a little bit too much aggression. Like dropping off of high ground there on the first bridge wasn't great. But honestly, it was like fundamentally like a good execution from the Outlaws. So that's like equal part shock throwing, but also I think Outlaws did play that one pretty well, at least from what we saw and how them hitting them and where they were smashing and that kind of thing. Right, so like this is kind of like what the shock should have done better, in my opinion. Notice that they're pushing high ground, right? But they're not leaving the people in cart exposed. So you don't really like. Shock can't really, all right, we're just jump and kill Piggy, everybody all in, right? It's just not really necessary. Like, they don't really want to commit this hard, because if they all commit here, Piggy's going to person bubble, he's going to drop, he's going to kite this way, right? Or he's going to kite this way, back towards his team's LOS, and it's going to be very, very, very far. They might kill Piggy, but they're probably going to get overextended. They're going to have to give up high ground to do that. So you don't need to invest this many resources to pressure or clear high ground. And you can kind of see this from the Outlaws. Like, you see how they're going to push their supports, but first off, these guys are playing really passive. Very, very, very passive. And that they're still like, I don't even think the Outlaws played that one that well, to be honest. I don't think you, when you do, I guess you do want your Ana Korean high ground. Yeah, you want your Ana Korean high ground, but you have to play a lot more passive. Okay, anyway, let's focus on Piggy. We might see a personal bubble here. We might see some energy tried to farm here, because again, Shock don't really want to attack this way, right? They're thinking about like, okay, we're gonna rotate here and then hold our space. They don't really want to aggress this way, because if they mess up, they die. And then obviously the respawn advantages with the attackers. Is Piggy as good as A10? I mean, I don't know. I mean, Piggy's a pretty good Zarya. I haven't watched enough of A10. A10 was really good back in the day, but I haven't seen A10 play in a while. Bubbling aggressively. Doesn't get anything, so they immediately back out. And again, not forcing the personal bubble. Now, you'll probably see a personal bubble used here, because he's held the space. He saw Monkey use cooldowns. Their Tracer is dead. There's no way he gets punished for using personal bubble here. So we're probably going to see personal bubble here. Right. Right? I'm curious, how does Glister die, though? Right. So this is good. A little, okay, so the Jenga calls to go. So that's a little unfortunate that we don't have personal bubble right now, because I assume that we're going to kind of stabilize, but Jengu just like wants to go balls to the wall. So not having personal bubble is a little scary here, because you are exposed without personal, but the projective is fine. They get it, and maybe we'll get our personal bubble in time. I don't like this. I don't like how aggressively we're pushing here. This is a little scary. Now it's fine because you have first ult.
Barriers on me. Move the payload.
How do they not kill Glister? What? I think Glister's sleeping. Who is sleeping? Oh, it's Happy sleeping. I'm sorry. I seriously thought it was a shock player. Smack. Like here's your narrative, chat. Okay, based off of watching 2 maps off of 1 game. All right. Now I want you guys to go spam, competitive Overwatch subreddit with your dogmatic opinion because you watched 1 stream. Okay. Happy, good Zarya. Happy, good Sigma. Happy, not very good at Diva. And you know that for fact because you watched that 1 streamer guy watch 1 map from the 1 game thing. So joking aside, his Diva did not look as good on that map. Piggy. But yeah, Piggy did look. You threw me. You messed me up. So yeah, Piggy did not look as good on a Diva. He looked a little worse. So.